Morning, everybody. I'm super excited to welcome Amelia Taylor. Amelia, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be joining you, to be sharing all the things that I've been learning over the past year or so that have been wildly prominent that I believe will relay so well into the market and what the market needs to hear. So pumped to hear what all you have to say that I can respond to.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. We spoke a little more than a year and a half ago. Then I met you at an event. You were at our event in
Mhm.
Florida, and we've gone back and forth in between. But yeah, so what's been happening over the last year?
A lot, a lot to say the least, in the very best of ways. So to go backwards a little bit, say about 3 years ago, I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go off on my own." I have companies coming to me, and I shared this a bit when we chatted on the podcast about 3 or no, about a year ago, year and a half ago. But I about 3 years ago, I was like, "I'm gonna go off on my own. I feel as though this is really where I need to be focusing my energy because if people are coming to me, believing in me and my skill set that's transferable and overlaying into partnership side of things and the co-marketing side, demand gen, helping sales teams really have the right kind of content that they're doing, not necessarily at scale, but that's just solely relevant, that I can go help. But real quickly, I learned scope creep is the most real thing that I've ever had to deal with in my life, probably when it comes to work. And that when you don't have something totally defined that's being like your thing, it's pretty tricky to navigate how to go about really saying, like, this is where I shine the most. I could hone it in, but I couldn't hone it in well enough to be like, this is me. So I kind of took a few steps back and I thought to myself, okay, get to know Amelia time. I decided to write everything down to where I was like, these are the top things that make me. This is what I love doing. This is what I hate doing. This is what I absolutely thrive on doing, but I can't stand doing. This is where, like I'm great at it, but I can't stand it. I don't want to work in a Google sheet. I don't want to do it. So, but I'm good at it. I don't want to do it though. So knowing by process of elimination what it was that I was good at and what I enjoyed doing, kind of honed in on this, yes, relationships drive revenue, but that's just one piece of it. It's like the flywheel effect of full cycle communication within organizations of speaking the language that the marketing side speaks, that the CRO needs to speak, the CEO needs to speak. So I had a contract with a company, ConnectWise. That was my first big PE bagged corporate America gig that I had. It was eye opening. And I don't mean this in any kind of way that it's in a negative way. I learned so much by having to push the limits in so many ways of getting things straight into the CRO, straight into the hands of the board who needed to understand, like, this is the why. So coming up with a ton of like, here's the ideation, not just stopping at that. Here's the strategy. Here's the framework. Here's the methodology. Here's what's repeatable by way of having almost SWAT teams test things for me too. And then it'd be a proven whole idea generated that's not proof of concept, it's proof of value. Here's the X amount that was generated by way of this team and doing this, and here's what we did. And so that was pretty much the whole, gist of it. It really became a all-encompassing role of go to market and leading. How are we living in the market? How are we breathing in the market? How are we talking to the market based off market needs instead of just what we think the market wants? I think a lot of people do that. Recently, I joined Chris over at Partnership Mastermind. He is a master at what he does. They just released today, we did, that they have been acquired, which is amazing, under a really awesome firm, Sanguine. They are awesome. So there's a lot to come in that regard of the offerings that we're able to go and help people with past just co-work community. It's the fractional work that can be done. It can be where there's a talent directory. It's different rev ops that are going to go, teams that can go in and help your partner teams actually succeed in the very best way. Those that have like the trust scale on them, measuring based off of those who know someone who knows someone, the whole Nearbound effect of like who knows who is ultimately going to win. So all said, I'm in a really happy place in my world of feeling like growth is where I'm in my best kind of role of like, let me just grow and have ownership and see what I can go make happen. And I am coding. I'm doing all the things. It's too much. but I'm doing it all. Go on.
Awesome. All right. So there's a lot, right? It's amazing. You did all these things in a year. So we're going to dial back a little bit and we're going to
Great.
go through them at a time. So talk to me, the process of evolution that you kind of went through, figuring out, who you are, and not only just as a person, but also as a product. But coming back a little bit, I want to set a context. Here we launched last year a community called East Bay Founders. We're on the East Bay side of Silicon Valley. We don't really have, network on this for founders. And we've been amazingly surprised. There's 900 people joined. About 2/3 of them are founders. They're CXOs. Tonight, we have an event in our office that Rob Moyer is running, a go-to-market section, right? So, but through the process, I get to meet a lot of young entrepreneurs that are going through very similar journey, which is product market fit, right? Like kind of figuring out what you have to offer, what you like, the market is that you fit in. So I want to kind of stay focused on that part of your journey over the last, let's say, 3 years. And 3 years is not a lot of time for a company to figure out what the product market fit. Some companies never find, some find it a little bit early, but most find roughly in the 2 to 3 year cycle, right?
Yep.
So walk me through a little bit, this writing things down. Did you talk to other people? Did you walk us through that journey of like figuring out the fit?
Yes. I mean, I absolutely, by way of figuring out the fit, I'm naturally, since I was probably in seventh grade, I've got notebooks full in my garage right now. I would write and write and write because if I didn't get out of my own head, everything was like spaghetti. It was not like a waffle to where you could compartmentalize things. It was all jumbled up.
And
So
you told me that last year
I did.
when we were talking. You were like, I have hundreds of ideas every day, and then I write them down, and maybe 2 or 3 days later, I'll go back to one of them and pull them out and post.
Right. And it's like, if, those who are such ideation people, the strategists of the world, all of that, that only gets you so far. That doesn't get you to execution. Like you can come up with a million ideas, but what are you going to do with those? You stick them in a bucket, but also have like 4 pillars of what it is that you really want to focus in on. Like I wanted to know who I wanted to be when I grew up, what my skill sets were that I really was good at, that I knew through and through. I have proven that I can do this. And here's the data to back it up. And here's the stats because numbers talk and that data speaks through and through more so than any words. And then what is it I absolutely don't want to be doing? Like, what doesn't make me feel like I'm doing my best work? And who do I want to be doing it with? So those were kind of the 4 things of one of the biggest ones being who do I want to be doing things alongside of him with?
So I have a question on that. So,
Yeah.
today we're so tempted to go to a bot and ask a question instead of asking ourselves, right?
Mhm.
So
Oh,
did
yeah.
you do that? Like, did you go in and open up ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude and ask questions, or were you all on your own?
Well, okay, so all on my own at first. Then I read something from someone and it was like reverse engineering. Train Claude, whatever model you're using, to know who you absolutely are not. So I went in and said, or, I prompted, based off everything that you know about me, all the files, all the artifacts, all the things that you have, tell me exactly what it is that you would pinpoint me as being the absolute worst at. And then categorize all the things that I'm wasting my time because these are the things that I'm asking the most for support with. And then it was give me an overview of who it is that I am not trying to be based off of these prompts that I'm, sharing. But it was that was wildly a beat up by way of Claude. Thank you, Claude. But it was great for me to see of like, this is not who you are based off of you asking me this 86 times because you're trying to figure this out so in depth. This is not where you live and breathe. But in turn, here's where I know that you do because this is what you haven't asked me as much. Here's what you've generated based off of giving me the inputs, what it is that I've helped you go and create. So it's reverse engineering the whole aspect of like, who am I? It's like, who am I not? What are my beliefs? But it really makes you have to get true to yourself, right? Like, and people don't want to do that. We are all there's denial of some sort. There's childhood trauma. Sure. Cool. Yes, we all have that. And like, if we say no, then we're lying. But I don't want to go and be in some costume. I don't want to go and play like I know what I'm doing. I don't want to go into a boardroom and BS everyone because they'll quickly point out and they will quickly feel that BS coming through. I mean, when people get to a certain status, they've been there, done that, they can read it, they can feel it, they can sense it. I have been there, done that, and I don't want to ever do that again because that is not who I ever want to portray myself as being, or what I'm going to go and be who Amelia is, doing what I do best by way of understanding what I do best and aligning that to who it is that I'm going to go work with and for. And that kind of full circle goes into corporate America is not for me. I learned that big time. Being around people is more so for me. But the people who really want to believe in what it is that I have to offer, not the tenure that I come with, as in I don't come with. There is a lack of tenure there. And that's okay because I believe anything from 2022 and before of November is out the window in some sense because that's when GPT decided we're OpenAI. They open their floodgates and GPT shows up. Everyone's wildly reactive, not proactive, jumping, trying to figure out what to do. And once you do learn the systems, that is going to help you get ahead. But being still true to yourself, understanding who you are by way of training the models of what you're using is the biggest thing that you possibly can do. I know I
So
went in.
how long did that, like, if I may go back, like how long did that process of discovery take? Like you wrote everything down, you started to put it into one of these LLMs, sort of sort things through. What was that duration like?
I would say I would say this has been a 2-year journey for me of really figuring this out. But over the past 7 months, it's been more prominent than ever in my world because I was at a crossroads of being like, okay, corporate America's not for me. I'm learning this real intensely, living it, breathing it every day. I'm looking at elsewhere silently, talking to people that I know, sharing, hey, I'm kind of seeking what might be next. Here's where my skill set lies. Like, and also feedback loops galore. Like, what is it that you're seeing in the market? Also, feedback for me. Does this even make sense what I'm saying? A lot of people drill down and help me tremendously. People that I know, trust, Rob being one of them for sure. So, Rob being a great individual and just person who was like, here's what I'm hearing you say based off all the words you're speaking. Here's the 2 sentences I'm going to put together based off what you said. And other people within the market. I mean, Scott Leese has been a good friend over the years, Matt Millen at Reggie, and people, Antonio, Antonio, who's wonderful. There's certain individuals who've just come and been like, I got your back. And I think that everything is a give. You show up for others.
Yeah, I want to go back to a little bit, kind of spend a few minutes on it if you can. Most people kind of focus on what they want to do, spend very little time figuring out what they shouldn't do, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is an important part of our journey because life is short if we end up working on the wrong thing. And companies do that all the time, right? They work on the wrong thing because they stick to an idea. They never step back and say, it's not working. That's not who I am. That's not who we are. We're not going to do that. We're going to do this. So I want to go back to the statement that you made that you're not for corporate America. What does it mean? Like, what is corporate America in your mind, and why are you not for corporate America?
Do not want to be having all these roadblocks to where I have to go and sell my soul to figure out how to get through the word that's changed, that's a bad word in corporate America. And not every place, right? But that became a bad word that I would say, okay, if we change this, that was not something that was smiled upon, if you will. It was very much so frowned upon. It was something negative that was brought to the table because we've always done things this way. And 47% down on revenue, that's not going to work. So changing the whole aspect of things, making it to where it's more like, okay, fruitful for everyone. Everyone's having a little bit more fun with what they do because life is short, like you said, and we only have this much time to go and do what it is that we want to do on this earth. But also we have to pay the bills, keep a roof over our heads. There's kids that we've got to go feed, all the things that we have to do. But by way of process of elimination, taking the time to do that, and even like having your day job and figuring it out at the same time, you have to go do it. And what your question being is like, really striking to me because I learned real quick it wasn't for me because of the whole politics within the growth opportunity that was not there, which very well could have been if it was a startup. It was insane. The money was there, But if I were to have done what I did there at even a Series B company, I would have been sitting real pretty in a role that would have been way above where I've been before. But you also live and you learn, you figure out again. But this is not exactly where I thrive, and where I thrive is where companies are trying to
I
grow.
think you just gotta pack up and move to the Bay
You
Area.
do
I
this.
mean,
Listen,
you're
whoever owns the
you're
forest,
we're possibly
whoever's
you're
paying that
possibly
bill,
changing.
do it. Yeah, pay for
Yeah.
leaving the kids, pack up, move. You pay for the move. You do it all, and sold, done.
So, but let's go back a little bit. So through the discovery process, you said, okay, this is not what I want to do. This is
Mhm.
what I want to do. So, what is that you want to do now?
I want to go. I'm so excited with what I'm doing right now. Truth be told, I am so excited because Chris at Partnership Mastermind, he did a post on LinkedIn, and I was in this what's next phase, literally sitting with a notepad in front of me, being like, what is next? And I'm talking to Rob Moyer actually, and he's helping me kind of navigate a few things. And I see Chris post, and it was like, hey, I'm expanding a little bit, not a lot, kind of eager, but also anxious a bit to kind of pass the baton for a few things that we really need to happen over here into someone's hands. But I want someone who knows what they're doing when it's driving demand, when it's operationally sound with certain tools, tech stack, partnership, understanding, knowledge, and being able to create what has never been stood up. Activating a whole advisory council, which is what I'm doing right now too. Being able to really speak to the market, drive awareness, capture the demand, and bring to life something that's going to be past, like I said, just cohorts and community, because you can't just have a community when no one's doing anything within the community. There has to be more. There has to be a give back. There has to be something where people are matching with people that are like minded, or they're 3 roles above where someone's at, where someone's just trying to learn and grow and have mentorship. There's got to be layers and pillars to this. I love matchmaking. I would have been a great matchmaker if there was that show, Millionaire Matchmaker. I could have done that. I could have done that all day, but I landed in the tech world. So playing that role in the tech world has been something that I have learned that I am really great at, of connecting the dots by way of people and products, or needs, opportunities where people have that offering, whatever it may be, and doing so in not the orthodox way of going into communities, going into the social spaces and places where people are talking, underground, if you will, about what it is that they are hoping to accomplish, and just joining the conversation, or playing a game of tag to where there's a trusted individual within this conversation already. And I shoot them a little message. Hey, can you tag me in on this? Got your back, got you for whatever I see in the market. And it's literally, you tag people and you just help each other grow. And it's ultimately helping other people get to their promised land, whatever that may look like, of what they're trying to accomplish. And overlaying into the partner side has been where I've naturally progressed in my career, and getting to know a lot of just sound and solid individuals in the partnership space who are just tried and true. They've been there, done that. They've seen it all. They know it all. They don't know it all. Nobody does. But they know enough that I don't know, to where I can go and say, hey, can you help me figure this out? And I have grown to have some of the best relationships with people who have truly just helped me navigate into, I know what it is that I'm doing best within the partner side.
So, I have a question on that. So talk to me a little bit about in the partnership space. And by the way, I'm going to have a podcast with Chris LeVeaux, I think, in about a couple of weeks.
I heard.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth for a bit. I actually met him at one of Rob's event in New York City. Great guy. Love, what he's doing. So I'm going to talk to him. But talk to me a little bit from a partnership perspective. What are the things are you doing right now? And then let's talk about from a social selling, social outreach, from partner recruitment, partner onboarding, all of the things that people want to do. What are you doing there?
One of the big things right now is the partners who have partners that need to be trained. They're growing. They're, let's say crossing, great. They've got a ton of partners that they already have. They need people to go and help these growing organizations, because you're seeing left and right, like I am, a ton of growth within the partnership. I mean, we're hiring for a partner manager for, under AI and cloud systems, all of that. And we're seeing it nonstop. But being able to really get those people to understand exactly how to go and find not just the top partners that you have, but those that truly are going to be giving back and understand how a partnership works, or selling through, or selling with, co-selling, all the different motions that you can do, alliances, so on, and being able to go and help and train those people, or if they don't have the RevOps support, being able to go and work with them. So right now, the big focus is the partnerships that we have in place or the really great relationships with some of these larger companies who work with really great partners and they've got good relationships there. Let's go work through them and with them. They're incentivized. We're going to go and help the companies that they've got that they're partnering with and train their teams. Everybody's winning in that sense. We're incentivizing the people who we're kind of putting as like a mastermind operations or operators council is what I'm calling it. And it's about 15 people max. That's what it is. And so I'm leveraging, getting to know them, getting to know, there's already trust built with Chris there. So I'm leveraging that trust, riding on his coattail, getting to know them. And then they're introducing me to the partners that they have who are like their top three and figuring out how I can go help them by way of just asking specific questions, a diagnostic, figuring out where you are missing the pieces that you have to put the puzzle together.
So let's double click a little bit. So walk me through one of these groups, how you're bringing the cohorts together. What are the discussion? What skills are they acquiring? What part of that you're teaching them? You're interacting with them. What are you doing exactly there?
So I am not the one teaching. I am not going to be the one who's front and center teaching, but the operators who are the ones who are trying to been through what Chris has taught them, or they've been in the HubSpot ecosystem for forever, Salesforce ecosystem, all of the different things that make them wildly talented individuals that have the pedigree that showcases everything that their knowledge base, all of that. But those are very specific individuals who are going to train and teach. And then there's okay, let's go and do a really focus, like Ramp being one of them. Ramp, the company we're working with, more on the IC side, which is interesting, but there's a ton of champions within. It's not having them sell within, it's intros within. And then we're going to go incentivize you for the intros that you're making because that's ultimately how we're all going to win. And people, especially at an IC level, and people who came from sales and jumped over to partnerships, they're very money motivated. So knowing people's personality types, understanding how they communicate, knowing that if I can get into this individual's world, into their calendar, and I can just get to know them, I'm going to go send them some gift. I'm going to go do something to where it's like, I heard you talking about how much you love Scotland, how much they drink at the World Cup stuff in Boston, and y'all crazy people, and that's your heritage. I'm going to go send you some kind of whiskey because that's what makes sense, So building this rapport that's further than just the partnership layer alone. It's okay, I'm really truly here to help. And also, what is it that you need help with? Here's the core questions that I have. Here's a 3-minute diagnostic you can take for free. And if this makes sense, let's continue this conversation further. Then I let Chris take over. So, but it's really activating those within who've already been through, they're in the community, and they're already friends to the community. They have the belief and the trust already established. So riding those coattails, I believe, is the biggest winning play right now.
That's amazing. So a lot of those folks are our customers. They visit our site. So can you sort of describe a little bit who are the target audience? Who is the ICP that's kind of joining this group? What are they getting out of it? What are you offering? What did they learn? Let's kind of unpack that a little bit.
So I literally launched this today. So I launched this because nobody wants another Slack group, right? Like, we are all inundated. There's too many Slack groups that I'm a part of. I know this to be true too. But this is a layer inside Partner Mastermind, their Slack instance, and it's a whole just channel. It's exclusive channel, invite only. And it's where there's different kind of reward systems that you get. Like, you're a starter, you're a MVP, or you're a Hall of Famer. So I love basketball, so that's why I went with that. But playing off what it is, it makes it more fun. But there's a point system, or if you can't accept like whatever, a gift card or direct cash, whatever it may be, or you can't set up a Stripe, your company doesn't allow that, totally fine. We're going to go and we're going to make sure that you have something where you can, one, donate to any kind of charity of choice that you want, or this is a give. You get someone in here. We're going to go and make sure that you have some kind of experience paid for by us. You want to go to some concert? Cool. Like, your name's on a ticket, go. But there's certain ways, but also here's 10 points if you do this. Here's 20 points if you do this, but also post your social things within this channel too. Like, also there's Match Me that we're using to where it's the AI generated Here's 5 questions. Great. Here's the person that you need to be matched with within this group to where you're going to level up and learn. And then monthly kind of breakouts to where we can all chat. Like, here's the updates. Here's what's new. Here's what's to come. Here's the talk track of what it is that you can plug and play with. Because intros, nobody wants to do an intro by way of doing the work. Like, tell me why I'm making this intro, who it is, give me their LinkedIn or whatever channel I'm doing it through, and write the intro for me and let me plug and play and put in my tone. So I've done that at scale for it being like a VP of partnerships, director level, IC level. Here's the 2 things that make the most sense if it's a VP. 2 things that make the most sense if it's director level. Making it so simple for people to say yes is the goal of activating what this looks like and having these top voices, and Rob being one of them, the people who have a community too, that we can kind of ride the coattail into that, and the people who are within there. So working in tandem with those people, having feedback loops too of like, if this doesn't make sense, come to me and tell me, because I want this to be effortlessly done on your end. And we all are generating revenue together. You're bringing the right people into the fold, and we're also helping you grow and win by way of connecting with others within the group and community, so on.
Awesome. So let's spend a few minutes on the topic that, we spent a lot of time last year talking to you about social selling, right? And you talked to me how you had to kind of bump into LinkedIn, something went viral, you wrote some posts, and the next morning you went up there like gazillion people and they started to follow you, and you
Right.
have a healthy group of followers now. So how does LinkedIn, which is a major watering hole, when it comes to B2B selling, how does that play into this mastermind equation or what you're trying to do? I mean, is it a separate thing, and did they connect? Like, how do they work together?
I mean, today Chris did an announcement post on the acquisition, and I use Phantom Busters, and I am pulling every single person. I'm connecting it to the HubSpot, and I'm making sure and cross-referencing to see what looks net new, what's not net new, who are the people who are already those that are affiliates that have gone through courses, cohorts, or first degree connections with Chris or myself, and kind of dissecting all of this so I can look at it as who is it that could be net new, but really the warm touches of just, then it's a, hey, thank you so much for engaging on the post. Because if they're engaging within the first day on a post, they see it, great. Then they live on LinkedIn, they're there, they're present on LinkedIn. Why am I going to go send them an email? I'm not. I think less is so much more when it comes to, we don't have to hyper personalize and be weirdos out there by saying we have the same dog's name, right? Like, we don't want to do that. Let's not be weird. Let's be relevant and be human. Literally, like, oh, but if we did go to the same school, like I went to Ole Miss, we say hotty toddy. If it's a smaller, I mean, it's a SEC school, but it is a smaller school and on the SEC side. If there's an Ole Miss person, I will absolutely say OPS hotty toddy, something in that nature. People will respond. There's probably 100% response rate in that regard. But I know that hypergrowth is never going to be the way that I work best. I know that at scale is never going to be my winning strategy. To an extent, if I want to go and send something to the whole broad group of people who've all gone through the cohort, awesome. I'm also going to segment people out who are those that are like, oh, geez, first cohort, first few, those who really know Chris well, the first degree. But I'm going to go ask him too. Who is it that like I need to eliminate from this list that are people that we need to like one-off touch, where there's opportunity for growth to work with them, their company, their, if they're growing or not, and kind of looking at that too, looking, is your team growing? Where are you at? Are you IC? Are you director? Are you VP? What level are you at seniority wise? What company were you at previously? Because if you just joined 2 months ago at a new company, you hopefully still have a relationship with the company that you just left that might have an opportunity for us to go and help them if it makes sense. So having it very much so a systematic approach of who, what, where, how I'm going to go and reach out to them, and then knowing what I'm saying is going to be relevant to them being the whole point of it. Relationship focused, driven at the forefront.
That's amazing. And from an attribution perspective, you used the word before.
Yes.
I know you're getting started, so you possibly don't have a lot of data, but can you sort of share with us how you're planning to sort of keep track of what's working, what's not? What is sort of what telemetry, what instrumentation are you putting in?
Yes. So like I am like co-working like nobody's business. I am lovabling like nobody's business, if that's the thing. Lovable is like I'm just now touching the surface of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, shout out lovable because I'm trying to like partner with y'all or something because y'all are great. But the way that I can go build something, so this is what I'm doing right now, is building individuals who are in this mastermind operators council. The core group that I'm having, they're going to have their own UTM. Like they're going to have their own link where it says like, Ron Moyer thinks that you should be in this room, whatever it may be, of people that they're trying to bring into the fold that might make sense or have an intro. Great. It's so easily done. And then also here's where you're at. Here's the link that you can click on right here that shows by way of Introzi, which is under the PE firm that we just got acquired and we're underneath too. So Introzi being a great tool for any kind of tracking all of the different things, which it does. Our use case for this does not butt heads with other companies that might do similar things. So that is something that we're very like adamant about. I don't want it to be where any tool that we bring into the fold is going to hurt any partnership that we have with a company that does something similar. Similar, great to an extent, but also like our use case is this for Introzi to have these affiliates, these operators that we're having on this council. 20 or less is my goal overall for this, like just to test and try and figure out and iterate and then eliminate what doesn't work, and then revise, so on. But for next quarter, if you will. But then being where I can go and use the right gifting tool. I can go and have Introzi to where it's going to go and automatically have the back end with Claude, and it's going to learn their brand tone, the way that they message, the way that they intro, and it'll integrate within Slack. Hey, it looks like you have a follow-up that you need to make. Here's what I would say based off what it is that you've said before or the relationship you have with this person. So making it so dumbed down to where you just are easily making money. And also here's the exact numbers because, you really put it in perspective. It's a referral partnership kind of play, right? But having it to where it's at its highest tier and it's also giving back. But knowing that if you don't ask the right questions when it comes to any kind of referral partnership, you are completely losing out on what it is that you could do. I mean, if you don't know the A's and B, if you don't understand what the offering actually is, but don't go sell it, just the intro is enough by way of who you know. And if it aligns with what it is you're already trying to work with them on, great. But understanding like when is payout, all of those things, it matters.
So Amelia, coming back, you made a couple of comments, and I think they're very important. You said, people are tired of these Slack groups, and I am too. Like I'm too many of them. I don't open. They're archived. I barely go in there. And when I go and ask a question, I don't get a response because the other people are exactly in the same boat. So what are you seeing in that regard? And how are you going to overcome that with this model that you're approaching?
I love that you've asked that. I've been asked that like a good maybe 10 times out of the 25 conversations that I've had recently, because that is such a realist point of view of like, what are you going to do? Because nobody really wants to be. I mean, there's certain groups I'm in where it is give. Like I know someone's going to give back. I think micro right now is the play of having it to where these are people who already have trust established. They already have belief in what it is. Or they've already made intros galore and they maybe didn't get incentivized enough. Or this is like a whole step up from what they ever had before because it's never been stood up in the manner that it could have been just because there were other initiatives at hand, other focused, things that were getting done. So the payback was there, but let's go up the ante. Let's go make sure people are really feeling like I'm doing something of value. I'm helping people. I'm showing up and also make it a game. Let's gamify this a bit. Like so-and-so did this. Like who's the leader of like this month by way of helping in this regard? And also this person gets to go to this like whatever event because they did this. So it shows like, or you want to go bank it. Great. You want to go bank the earnings that you have. And then you over time shows how much you have, but it's going to show you on your sold page where you're at. Like a whole, like if you do, this will get you to whatever the X thing that you want to go do. So having it very customized to each individual, but I'm going to be the one who's going to bring life into this and encourage life that goes into this. I want to be the one who's going to say, hey, here's a LinkedIn post that we're going to continue. Rob Moyer. Thank you, Rob, for letting us use your name so much in this. But there's 86 comments. Let's say that I'm going to go in and I'm going to go pull those and I'm going to look and see within this group who knows who. And great, there's 3 VPs of partnerships that Christy Hickman knows. Awesome. I'm going to go directly to her and I'm going to say, hey, do you know them well enough to make an intro? Because this seems like the right path based off what I'm reading or seeing or their comment. What what relationship do you have there? So I'm going to make it so simplified to where they can go. And then, oh yeah, I know. Cool. Great. They already have the messaging that I've already created, plug and play, or create your own, because we all know it's coming from your mouth. You need to say what it is that makes the most sense if it's where you've got that good relationship. But I don't want anyone to lift a finger. That's not the goal, but it's having the camaraderie. And then let's get together in person once a quarter. Like, let's make this interactive, literally, figuratively. Let's go show up.
That's amazing. So I have one last question, maybe 2 parts. So looking back at the last year, what's the one thing you learned? And looking forward a year, how are you going to apply that thing?
The one thing I have learned is that I do not know as much as I thought that I did. I don't know if this is something this is a very broad thing to say. I'm really good at selling, and I know this to be true. I do not want to go back into a sales kind of capacity role, but I know that if I have a structure in place, I need structure. I need it for my well-being, for my mind, for my life, all the things. If I have a structure in place and someone is helping me get to where it is that I know that I can go by way of helping me kind of structure things, like build the box. I'll build the little boxes within with the pillars and then insert the things needed that I need to be doing. But help me just build that box to where I'm like hyper focused on here's the what, the why, all the things that I need to be doing, how I'm going to do them. But also, like, it's okay to not know what you don't know. And not knowing is also really brilliant too, because then you go and test and figure out, oh, maybe I do know more than I think. So finding people, I've always been someone all geared up for feedback. I love it. I think it's great. Like, I need it. And if it's raw and real and it's harsh, perfect. Because I'm not going to level up if I can't have like raw and real. But working alongside people who just let you go through the motions, those are not my people. Sure, maybe outside of work, but when it comes to my best work I can do, that's not going to help me level up. And where I'm at right now, I feel like this is where I truly am like pushed to a place of own this and figure out what you know. I'm a soundboard if you need it. And here's a plethora of people who also want to be in your corner too, because I know them. They trust me. They've been here. They've done that, all of those things. But being able to go really leverage the network effect and compounding effect of someone else's trust and writing on that's been huge for me. So knowing it's okay that I don't know all the things, but I know enough to get started. And then I'm going to go and ask for plethora of feedback because I want to do my very best work. Knowing when to also just ship it is a big thing too. Not overthinking will get you stuck in the sand massively. Shipping it, doing it, asking for forgiveness later is something too, because things need to get done when you're in growth mode, but not being afraid to figure out what it is that you don't know. That's something I really learned. No BS. Just own it. I don't understand this. Cool. Figure it out.
That's amazing. So with that amazing reflection, we're running out of time. So thank you for being here. I'd love to have you back. Well, I'm going to talk to Chris. Maybe it'll be great to have both of you back because as you're trying to build this community, you're going to learn a lot and other people can learn because you're trying it in the new way, not the old way. So congratulations. It's a big next step and, look forward to talking to you again pretty soon.
Thank you so much. You are the best. Excited to chat soon.
Thank you.